What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Walk-Ins Welcome Podcast, to where I will be bringing people on. Literally, you can just walk in onto this show, and this is something that I just started. It's something that's brand new, and I think it's going to be awesome. So, because this is my first podcast here, I am going to just wait for some people to join in. And what's going on, everybody? Hello. Welcome. So I'm streaming this live on Facebook, on YouTube, and this is called Walk-Ins Welcome. And I'm going to post a comment. If you want to join, you can literally join the podcast, okay? And you could be right here. I'm going to pin this. Let's see. There it is right there. You can literally join this right here and be a part of this podcast. And now what this is a new show, and it's called Walk-Ins Welcome. Imagine if you're a walk-in to get a haircut. You walk in and you ask for a haircut. This is the same thing where I'm going to be bringing on everyone, whether you're a hair professional, a barber, a hairstylist. We're going to talk about industry stuff. I'm going to talk to, if you're a client watching this, everyone is welcome. Thank you all so much. I'd love to have my first guest be a part of this. And now I'm using a new platform. So I'm not sure exactly how, but first and foremost, can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? I'd love to know. Just give me a yes in the chat so I can see, okay? Just give me a yes in the chat just so I can see. I have this whole new studio set up in here, and this is something that is really, really exciting. Awesome, Raisin. How you doing, man? A lot of cool names in here. Yes, how you doing? So if you want to join, I have favorited the link right there. And all you need to do is, let me paste it again. You click on it and you can join right there. Let's favorite this again. There we go. And also Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook. So you can join live and be a part of this. So let's just jump right into the industry. How you're at work. That's funny. So I've been a hairstylist for over 30 years now, okay? And I have been seeing everything that you can imagine. I've seen everything you can imagine. I've been in top salons. I've been in, maybe not so high-end salons. I've seen it all. I've been in, hundreds upon hundreds of salons in my career, from teaching as a hair professional to interviewing salons, right? And you know what? Hold on a second. I did pin it. Let's see here. I don't know if that's like, I just put it right there. I don't know if that is the same as clicking. Again, this is a new program that I'm using for doing these live streams. I click the favorite, but I don't know if that allows you to click on it. So let's see here. But I'd love for someone to join, just because I can go live with you and talk with you and see how this all works. That would be amazing, because I'm using StreamYard right now, and I used to use Restream. Restream, I am very, very familiar with Restream, but StreamYard is new. So I'm not really super familiar with StreamYard. And I know that's what like everybody uses, But Albert, did you see that? Let me know if you can actually click on that link. But anyway, being in the industry for 30 plus years, I've seen it all. Here we go. Oh, I see now. Okay. Now I see what I have to do. Let me paste this again. Once again, this is the link to join. Oh, good. You can see it on the screen. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Albert, I really appreciate that. Thanks for the help. So now I am sharing this on Facebook as well, on my Facebook page. YouTube, Instagram is a little bit different. I was trying to go live here on Instagram, but I don't know. But I'm looking for people to join, whether you're a hair professional, barber, client. But being in the salon industry for that many years, I've basically seen it all. Okay. From top salons to not so top salons to, huge monstrous size salons to small salons. And I think what's happening is a lot of people are confused. They don't know what they want to do with themselves, with the industry. They want to be an owner, but then they don't want to be an owner. They basically want to be their own boss. They want to leave a salon that, they've been working in for a long time and they think they can get it better somewhere else. And then they feel kind of lost, or they're open up like a salon suite or something like that. And they still are unsure of what they want to do, and that's where the challenge comes in. The challenge comes in where you're a professional for a long time and you end up feeling lost in something, right? And that could go for any industry, whether you're a mechanic, you're a chef in a restaurant, you're a coach, a personal trainer, whatever it is. When you feel lost in your own industry that you've worked really, really hard for, that is when things become really, really difficult, right? And that's where things start to feel discouraging. You feel like you're not sure of what you want to do. You feel a little bit scared. Things can get a little bit rough. But in the salon industry, what's happening is a lot of people, they basically just want to do their own thing and they think they can do it perfectly. I just realized that there's a mannequin right here. No idea. I forgot to move the mannequin. But yes, it makes it quite fitting, the fact that I do have mannequins all over the place. So if you're just joining, thank you to everyone who's just joining. I'd love for you to come live with me here on this podcast because it's called Walk-ins Welcome, where everyone's welcome to be on my show, and you have the opportunity to hang out, to share some insights. Whether you're a client, you can tell me some of your experiences. You can tell me what you like. You can ask me questions, right? Yeah, it's a little bit early. Well, I'm also Eastern time, so I'm 12:15 Eastern time, and I have a lot going on today. This was totally random show. Random. This is more of a test, but this was something I want to do just to do more of a trial run. But yes, it's early. But if you are somebody who wants to join and be a part of this and share some of your experiences, you can be live on camera with me. You can share your experiences. You can share your thoughts. You can share like good haircuts, bad haircuts. This is something that I really want to get a lot of action on. So let's see here. I should just do what other people do on live stream. Just sit here and not say a word. Just stare at the camera. Did you ever notice that? You go on someone's live stream and all they're doing is just sitting there looking at the comments. That's all they do. And they get like thousands of people watching. I'm going to try to text a couple of people. Let's see here. Hello, everybody who is joining. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to text some people to come on live with me. Sorry. I'm just sending messages to people. Let's see here. Wow, all these people here. Wait a second here. I'm sorry, everybody. You got to go, man. It's all good. It's all good. Give me a second here. All right, so sorry for you. I just want to experiment where people just you go on a live stream and just look at the person for 45 minutes. So, but I've been as a hairstylist, I've been through a lot of ups and downs in my career, and sometimes I felt like it was more ups, and then sometimes I felt like it was more downs. To be honest with you, and I feel like any profession you go in, any career you go into, you're going to have some ups and downs, right? And the thing is when it comes to whatever industry, the hair industry, it's a lot of dealing and competing with other people. And I'm sure that happens with any, profession you go into is competition. And are you better than this person? Are you better than that person? Oh no, hold on a second here. What are they going to say about my work? Are they going to like what I do? Am I going to be busier than them? Am I going to make more money than them? That happens a lot in the hair industry because you're competing against everybody, right? When you think about it, you're actually competing with people who, do you wish the best for them? Yeah, of course. But at the same time, you want to be busier than they are, right? You want to make more money. You want to have more clients than them. You want to be the superstar. Who doesn't, right? If you don't, then that's cool. But I really think that a lot of people, what happens is when they go into a career, and I'm going to post this one more time, the link if you want to join. Let's see here. There it is right there. Oh, and on Facebook too. So, and I hope everyone can see me on Facebook. I'm actually going to do a test. This is I did this at a random time No promotions whatsoever. Oh, look, there it is. Oh, wow. People are commenting, or what the heck? One share. A lot of views already on this. Yeah, awesome. Oh, and even on Facebook, what's so cool on Facebook, I've never seen this before. It's actually showing captions live. That is so neat. It's showing captions live. Wow. If you are in the hair industry, the name of this show is called Walk-ins Welcome. If you have no idea what that is, literally you're walking in, you can walk in to this podcast like you're walking into a barbershop, walking into a hair salon. Walk-ins are welcome, right? That's the name of this show, where people can literally walk into the podcast. I'll bring you up on video with me. We can talk about industry stuff. We can talk about hair topics, whether you're a barber, you're a hairstylist, you're a client, you want to share some experiences, you want to share, stuff about your hair appointments, things you like, things you don't like, all of it. So this is something I just went live to, like, I don't know, 15, not even 15 minutes ago. I have a whole new setup, and you can see there's a mannequin right here. My studio is filled with mannequins. I forgot to move this one, but we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting stuff. So if you're just joining, you can click the link. If you see the comments here, I'm going to pin this right here. I'm going to pin it, and I'm going to show it right here. You can literally click on that to join it. And that is the link, the invite link right there. I'll paste it one more time. Yeah, that's the invite link right there. So if you want to join and discuss industry topic stuff, you're a hairstylist, you're a barber, you're a client, then feel free to join and we can talk. So what I was just talking about before is, I've been in the hair industry for about 30 years. I have worked for major companies like L'Oreal, Paul Mitchell. I have taught thousands and thousands of hairstylists. I think right now the salon industry, the barbering industry is in a very interesting place simply because of the fact that there's so much going on and there's so many opportunities. So I've got a question here. Naru is asking a random hair question. Dandruff shampoo dries your hair out. Well, first and foremost, I'm going to tell you that you're probably using some over-the-counter stuff you got at your drugstore. That's the first reason why it's drying your hair out. I'm not going to say any brand names, but I can assume it's the one that you're probably using. And yes, it's very drying to your hair. So mistake number one. 6 months without washing your hair. Wait, you went 6 months without washing your hair? Your hair got kind of grimy despite it looking healthy. I mean, that you're basically answering your own question in a sense, because if you don't wash your hair for 6 months, yes, your hair is going to start to do things. It's going to smell. It's going to get really oily. It's going to look kind of healthy over time, maybe if you're just rinsing it. But the problem is you have to be careful because of your scalp. If you don't wash your hair, it's going to have the opposite effect, to where the sebum, all that oil on your scalp, is going to start to build up and then dry out and then turn into dandruff. So my best suggestion is always wash your hair as needed. I've never met anyone or heard of anyone who's died from washing their hair. So for anyone who's afraid to wash their hair, based off of like the whole movement of no poo, man, no shampoo, no poo movement. That's so funny. But hey, Pete, man, I saw my friend Pete joined. Pete, if you want to come on live with me, bro. I see you're a guest. Let me see. How do I bring you on?
Dude, I'm driving. How you gonna bring me on?
There he is. You're live, bro.
I'm live.
Yeah, you're live right now.
Yeah, I'm live. I don't even know what you're doing. You sent me a link to something, but I'm driving, so I guess I'll
I
hop on
know.
live.
Yeah, you're live. Just be careful, bro. Be careful.
Yeah,
That's a nice scenery you have there,
nice.
dude.
What's going on? So,
I'm so.
what are
This
you
is
doing?
my
What are you doing live right now? Tell me what you got going on.
this is my new podcast, Walk-ins Welcome.
Walk-ins welcome. Cool.
Yeah, bro. Where everyone has a voice talking about hair industry stuff. Remember, I was telling you about that.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So everyone has a voice. So I'm literally bringing in walk-ins to this podcast, so people can just show up and walk into it, and we can talk. But I want so this is interesting. There's somebody who just left a comment.
How about drive in instead of walk in since I'm driving?
Yeah, right. Don't drive into my screen, bro. You're gonna. But there's this dude, somebody who just posted a comment. He goes, I didn't wash my hair for 6 months because he was trying to go through this no shampoo movement. 6 months, dude, of not washing your hair. And I said to and then he started to complain. He goes, my hair got a little bit kind of grimy. It looked healthy. But then he was saying that dandruff shampoo. I said, look, if you don't wash your hair for that long, it's going to get kind of grimy. Your scalp is going to get oily. That'll end up drying out, and you're going to end up having some serious scalp issues. But what is your take on the no shampoo thing, man?
Listen,
Your hair is going to smell too.
I'll give you a synopsis. So this is basically it. Your hair is like grass. If you don't water your grass, what happens to your grass? Right? So
it dries out.
It dries out. So it's all about hydration and nourishing the hair. And, it's all about an experience too. It's all about like cleansing the hair and the scalp. It's more than skin deep. It's the scalp. It's the whole energizing and invigorating your scalp and your senses too with it. So and shampooing is important. Conditioning is more important. So I'm not, for some people who don't like to wash their hair a lot, I think that's it's not really a good thing because you're you're not really hydrating and replenishing what needs to go back into the hair and the cuticle.
Yeah, but there's like a whole movement on it, man. Right? There's a whole movement.
I don't know about that movement.
Oh yeah, dude. The movement there's a movement that's been around for a long time about people not washing their hair for years and trying to be anti-chemical. I said to him, well, if you go to your drugstore, this is what I tell a lot of people because they'll say, I went to my drugstore. Oh no, they won't say that. They say I'm tired of using products that really dry my hair out. And I'll say, well, where are you buying your hair products? And they say, oh, I buy them at the local drugstore. Well, if you're going to the drugstore to buy stuff that's like really important to you, skincare, hair care, don't complain if it dries your stuff out. Right?
Yeah. But I can't continue this conversation, bro. I'm in the middle of driving. I gotta exit.
Yeah, focus on the road, man.
All right, have a good one, bro.
I'll talk to you later, bro. See you.
Bye.
Oh, bye. All right. We got to keep Pete safe while he's driving. But yeah, if you are not washing your hair, it's going to lead to some issues. All right. How do you grow your hair faster? Well, there's a couple of things, and I have dozens of videos on my YouTube channel about growing your hair faster. Okay. And growing your hair faster. Oh, hold on. I'm getting some people to try to join in. Because I'm gonna bring on somebody hopefully who's going to be really awesome. But when it comes to growing your hair faster, and if you're watching this and you're a hair professional or you're just joining, this is my new show called Walk-ins Welcome, where literally if like you're walking into a barbershop, walking in to get a haircut, you're walking into a restaurant, you can walk into this show and I can bring you live, right? And if you want to go live, then here is the link. You can just click the link and right here in the comments, click the link and you'll be brought backstage here and then you can join me. All right. So when it comes to growing your hair faster, there's a couple of things. I have noticed this. Now, the person before, Naru, said that the hair wasn't washed for 6 months. That's a long time. If you want to grow your hair faster, I say wash it a little bit less, like every 2 to 3 days, because that small amount of oil buildup that happens, actually I've noticed is good for the scalp. it keeps the scalp moisturized without it starting to build up and clog the pores. So what you need to do is, I would suggest, one is wash your hair every 2 or 3 days. Okay. The next thing is, the only thing that I can suggest that's all natural is biotin. Biotin is the pill. It's all natural. It's in pill form. I know there's different amounts, different milligrams that you can take. Biotin is the only thing that I've seen that actually is over the counter. It's not like a pharmaceutical drug that actually helps the hair grow thicker. I like growing faster, but grows thicker. That's it. That's the only other thing that I've noticed. Okay. And let's see here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to watch everything that's going on here. So yeah, you want to grow your hair faster, then that's it. Getting normal trims is going to help keep the hair looking kind of healthy on the ends, but the hair doesn't grow from the ends. The hair grows from the scalp. So let's see here. Give me 1 second. For all those of you who are watching, if you go into the chat, you can see, even here on the pinned comment, if you click on it, this whole podcast is about bringing people live with me to talk about the hair industry, to talk about hair, from input from clients. Have you had any bad experiences? Have you had a bad haircut? What do you like about getting your haircut? What don't you like about going into a barbershop or a salon? Like, what's your favorite thing? What's your least favorite thing? What annoys you when you go into a salon or a barbershop? And if you're a hair professional, this is the time to be able to share your opinion on things, and we can talk. So that's why I called it Walk-ins Welcome. Okay. A really cool name. This was more of a test, to be honest with you. This was more of a test just to make sure that this is working properly. And I'm happy to see that it is. All right. Now, I want to try something here. Okay, let's see. Let me know in the comments if you can hear all this. Hold on. I like this one. This is kind of funny. Let me know in the comments below if you can hear all that. Those sound effects. Does hair grow on different sides of your head, or is it different for everyone? Hair grows out from the head. It grows the same amount on the entire head. Okay. There's no, it grows faster on this side than this side. No, it all grows out and even from the entire head. That's the way it is. It's not like, however, you may feel like the hair down here looks like it's growing faster, but it's because the hair is so short down here that anything that sticks out is going to look like it's getting longer. Whereas like the sides, as it's growing, it may look like it's not as long. Or if you're somebody who's getting your hair cut like mine, where it's all shaved and you see like a little stubble coming in, you're going to be like, oh my God, my hair feels like your hair is so long or so thick or whatever. That's just because you're not used to it. But no, hair grows the same no matter what, on like all sides of the head. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to bring in a buddy of mine named Carl. Carl, get ready, man. I'm going to bring you on. Make sure you got your camera on. Hey, Carl. You there?
Yeah, just give me a second.
Yep. Your camera looks great.
Well, I'm just trying to in the middle of three things right now, so I got to move my computer about 10 feet.
Oh, sorry. I can move you. I can move you back off until you're ready.
Just give me about 10. Give me like 2 minutes. I just got to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's set up here.
I'm gonna just answer some questions here.
Okay.
There's a guy, he's saying he lives in North Korea. Ooh. Oh my God, give me a break. Okay, I'm gonna totally like block this dude. That is so funny. What an idiot. His username was Hung Asian Dad. That was his username. So I don't think that was gonna work out too well. But so what I was talking about is when hair grows. Talking about hair, look at that hair.
Oh,
Ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen,
Carl
is a prime example of how awesome hair can look as it grows out.
Oh,
Carl,
Jesus.
I've known you for a very, very long time. If you would ever take any advice from me when it comes to grooming, leave your hair longer, man. It looks amazing on you.
Oh, I hate it. I really do.
Oh my God.
I really do. This is so not me. It's actually uncomfortable. I mean, it's just like.
Well, what's uncomfortable? Okay, so let me ask you this. This is a perfect thing for people who are watching right now. And Carl, this is my new show. It's called Walk-ins Welcome. Like, imagine when you walk in to get your haircut, you walk into I've been imagining it a lot lately. But like, this is a show where I just went live as more of like a test to see if everything's working properly. But this is more of a show to where people can just walk in, meaning they can walk onto the show and we can talk about industry related topics, hair stuff, business, whatever it is. And that's something I think I'm going to start. And I didn't do any promotions for this. I just posted it literally on Instagram like 10 minutes ago. And so this was a cold launch. But I just wanted more from a technical thing to make sure it all worked. But a lot of people always ask me, they want to grow their hair longer. How do you grow your hair? What are the pain points of growing your hair longer? And for context, I've known Carl for many, many years. Carl is somebody who has had shorter hair for a very long time, kind of like a side part, clean cut, nothing crazy. I've never seen Carl's hair this long in years.
It's never been this long. I've never let it get this long before in my life.
I think it looks phenomenal just from knowing him for so long. But tell the viewers and share your opinion on like the growing out process. Like what were you feeling? What was difficult for you? Like, why are you at the point now where you're like, you can't take it anymore?
I don't know. You know, I be honest with you, it wasn't by intent. I just got lazy. And it just started to grow and grow. And then I just by this summer, it's just uncomfortable. It's just, I'm not used to having, like, the problem is, like, I get like a lot of little hairs fall out and it's all over me. I mean, it's just like, there are some days where it's like, it's all over me. I'm constantly
You're shedding.
Yeah. I'm constantly doing it. And I'm constantly brushing it off of me. It's like, it gets on my pillow at night. And then it's got these little hairs tickling me. And it's very, very annoying. Plus I just feel like I have a mop on top of my head. And I'm used to having my hair shorter. It's just more comfortable for me. And a lot of times the problem I run into is when I'm carrying backpacks and things like that, the hair gets caught in the backpack. Ooh. and I tear the backpack off and I wind up feeling like I'm ripping, the side of my head out like that. And it's just like, so it's starting to get old.
I see. That's why you got to grow it long and put in a ponytail.
Oh, I have a friend of mine who's done that, and it looks good on him, but I don't think it would look good on me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool, especially when you have the hat on. But so thanks for jumping on last minute, man. And I want to talk to you about. I was talking about this earlier, specifically from a media perspective of and salons and things like that and barbershops. Nowadays, a lot of people think they are Netflix. They'll buy a ring light and they're making content, especially barbers and all that. You see ring lights all over the place in barbershops, and that's great. I think it's important that barbers and hair professionals are creating content because that's essentially going to help get their work out there. Do you feel like, especially with the way things are going with like AI and the way things are, like everyone can do anything they want. Do you feel like what you've done, and for those who don't know, Carl is a professional photographer we've worked together in a lot of environments, different events, some really high-end prestigious, like Victoria's Secret fashion show. Like we've been Fashion Week. There's a lot of things that he has shot. that are just, I mean, and some of his most incredible work I've seen. And he has been a photographer taking those things. And now even back then, actually, the cell phone generation of like people taking their cell phone out at runway shows, and people are like taking pictures and things like that. Obviously, the way cell phones have improved with the cameras and stuff, they're almost as good as a full DSLR.
But
do
you
you
PTSD here?
What's that?
You give me PTSD here.
Oh, sorry. but do you think, though, for hair professionals who aren't a photographer, I mean, that's kind of their only option is to do it themselves. But like, let's start with that. Let's start with like your concept on people doing it themselves. Maybe they don't have money to bring on a photographer. Like, do you think they should at least try then? It's better than nothing, right?
Well, obviously, to answer that question from standpoint of self-interest, that takes money out of my pocket. So, it's hard for me to recommend, hey, do it yourself. But at the same time, I agree with you. A lot of times, people, they're on a tight budget, and I know from experience that I've shot videos with iPhones that have actually turned out quite good. So, I mean, I would never tell somebody, don't do it, especially somebody who is just starting out, who doesn't have the money, because what I'm going to charge them is probably going to be a little bit more than what they can afford. The thing that I would suggest to them is take their time and learn how to do it right. Because the bottom line is, even if they had even like they say, okay, I don't want to hire a photographer, but I want to go out and buy all this equipment. You can have the best equipment in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it's no better than shooting an iPhone. Or somebody with an iPhone who knows its limitations and can work within them can produce some pretty nice content. I mean, there's some issues with iPhones that like you don't worry about with DSLR. One of the problems with DSLRs is if it's like Steven, let's say you were using one to do a haircut tutorial, and some DSLRs especially are noted for having a little bit of audio hiss and internal echo. You don't get that with an iPhone. iPhones, if you especially put a decent microphone on an iPhone, you're not going to get that audio hiss problem. That's just not going to happen. So it's again, that's a more technical aspect of it. But I guess what I'm just trying to say is that iPhones aren't necessarily always a bad way to do things, as much as I hate to admit it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think so. So I think if people are in the industry, yeah, they have no choice. If you're going to post pictures of your work, you have to use something. Yeah. When now you mentioned this is what you do for, you do this as a service, and I've seen it and I agree. When do you think someone should bring you on? Like, let's just say you're going to charge $300 for for an hour to come down and take some photos and spend time. Say, I'll come down for $300 or $400, whatever it is. I'll come down to your barbershop, your salon, and I'll shoot some nice photos of you. I'll give you maybe, 10, 15 photos. And when should someone bring a guy like you on?
The first thing that comes to my mind is Naha.
Okay.
You're doing a submission for that. You really want it done right. I mean, that's just not something. It's not so much that the iPhone itself can't handle it, but now you're starting to talk about. You want nice lighting. You're going to want things that really, really bring it, because obviously you're putting a lot of time and effort into doing that submission, and that submission, if it works out for you, can vault you to the head of the class, pretty quickly. And do you want to chance that to an iPhone with no lighting or a ring light, ring lights are great. They're fine for a lot of things, but let's be honest. If you're really trying to do something that's really, really, really want to grab people's attention, ring lights are generally not the best way to do it. They're kind of overused. I mean, the fashion industry used them for years and still does to an extent, but they're not always the greatest. If I like a perfect example was, I remember, Steve, about 5-6 years, it was right before the pandemic hit. There was like a hair expo. I think it was somewhere in Parsippany. I think Emiliani did it. Okay. And it was in their warehouse. I remember you and I were there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I remember I was doing some backstage photographs of the models just as they were just about ready to get done to go onto the stage. And they had this one girl. She had this her hair was like orange. The guy did a really nice job. So what I did was to accentuate that orange. I put an orange key light on her, and it just made that orange pop. It didn't change it, but it just made it pop really more. And I think that was doing that made that coloring pop. So if you're a colorist and you want those colors to pop, there's ways I'm going to light you that's going to make that color, really, really shine. Whereas we're just not going to do that with an iPhone and a ring light. It's just going to be flat. And when you look at the submissions that people send to these, different events, They ain't shooting with iPhones. I can tell you that much for sure. I mean,
But how about like, say not everybody wants to join Naha or like compete like that. What about like for marketing materials, marketing purposes? Do you think that somebody at some point should bring on, because that takes hours, that takes prep of model prep and makeup and outfits and all that. There's a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot that goes into it, but the question is, how important is your business to you? Say you have a salon that's on Main Street somewhere in any town, USA, and you want to get attention. People are walking past your salon, and okay, they may see like a little poster in the window, something shot with an iPhone with a ring light. I'm not saying it looks bad, but what if you take the time and pay someone to do something that's really, really artistically done, really, really attention getting? It's going to bring people in. And people are. I never underestimate the ability of John Q. Public to recognize really, really quality work. They may not know why they like it. All they just know is it resonates with them more. And it's just like this. It's like this with anything. It's like you always want to put your best foot forward. It's like, always the old adage of there's never any danger of being the best dressed man in the room. There's never any danger of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's better to walk into a room wearing a tuxedo when everybody else is just wearing golf shirts, and be the guy who walks into a room wearing a t-shirt when everybody else is wearing a business. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's those subtle little things that make a difference. And it eventually gets down to a point where it's like, yeah, you don't want to spend the money, but how much is your business worth to you? It's really what it boils down to. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard to quantify that on paper. It's always a risk. It always is. But if you just get into the habit of, oh no, I don't want to do that because it's going to cost me money. I can't do this; it's going to cost me money. I can't do that because it's going to cost me money. Eventually, that kind of mentality is going to hurt. It is.
Yeah. And also, just I want to make an announcement. If people are watching, this show is called Walk-ins Welcome. It's my new show, this new podcast. I haven't even set up a schedule yet. This was totally just something off the whim. I just was more from a technical perspective because I just changed around some gear and a new setup, and I want to just kind of set this up and do more of a test run. But the whole premise of this show is that people can walk in or walk on to the show and share their opinions, talk about different topics, whether it's you're a hairstylist, a barber, a client, even just to talk about things that are around kind of the beauty industry, the hair industry. And this is something I think is a really cool thing. And I want to really start to get more of these out there. I may do it, once a week or so. I may do it daily. I don't know. Because when you think about business, like people are walking in. Let's just say you're out somewhere and you're hungry. Let's go eat. What are you doing? You're walking into the restaurant, right? You're showing up and you're saying like, if someone wants to DM you, a DM is like almost like a walk-in. It's like an approach. It's like you want to be heard, right? You want to share a message with someone so that you can get their attention. So the whole point of this show is that so people can join me and we can have a conversation based off of whatever topic it is we're talking about. Right now, if you're just joining, Carl, many of you probably won't even know who Carl is, and some of you are just seeing me for the first time. I have no idea. But Carl is somebody, and this is really important to learn when it comes about like entrepreneurship and just business and relationships, is I met Carl really, really, really early on, and our conversation started about camera gear. We were talking about photos, and I saw him taking some photographs, and I saw the lenses he has. I was like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. And we just started talking. And I started saying, like, what do you like doing? What kind of, I was like, man, this guy seems really knowledgeable with his photography. And then I think I had I forget even what the event was, but I was like, hey, how'd you like to come shoot at one of these things? And I got to see how he worked and this and that. The one thing after the dozens and dozens of events we've done and how he's come through for me, the one thing that Carl's done, and I think a lot of people don't always do, is that he's been so reliable. And reliability is something that doesn't happen as much. And people who are unreliable still expect to be very successful somehow, or they still expect to get work. If you're unreliable, someone can't count on you. Like, how is that going to build trust and confidence? And Carl, that one thing that he's always had is that reliability, that if he's saying he's showing up, he's showing up. Or if he's going to be there on, he's showing up early, he's there, he's front and center. And I know a lot of that has to do with your background and even my background and all that. That's what we have, some things that we've been through that like makes us have that mindset. But how important is reliability to you? Is that something that you always say, like, if I'm not reliable, people are not going to hire me? Like, How is that important to you? Reliability?
It's the number one important thing is because it's like no matter how good you are, if I can't trust that you're going to deliver on time or deliver properly, I can't take the risk on you. And I would feel that most people would feel the same way with me. It's just like if you can't, you can't keep promises, you can't deliver what you're expected to do, what you promised to do. You're going to sink. You may get away with it for a little while, but eventually you get a reputation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And have other people said that to you, that you're very reliable? I can't be the first.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just the way I do things. To me, it's just like, it's part of my military background. It's part of the way but it's mostly the way my father raised me. They don't make promises to people and not deliver them. It's just, my father didn't like that, and he was right. I think it's probably in a lot of ways, maybe the biggest single thing that can sink you is, especially early on, because people don't know who you are. They don't know that you take a promise like that. When that first event that we worked together was that Fifth Dimension show in Atlantic City back in 2012.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would hazard a guess that you weren't 100% sure that you could really count on me or not. And that's fine. You didn't know me. I wouldn't expect you. So that's why I have to prove myself to you. And then over time I did. But what if I let you down on that event? Let's say I showed up a little bit late, or let's say maybe I didn't deliver quite what you needed, or maybe I had just a little bit of a attitude or whatever. You probably that would have been it. You wouldn't have given me a second chance. And that's just the way it works. Reliability and that can-do kind of attitude I think it's crucial all the time, but especially when you're first starting out. That's the first thing people see. That's the only thing you're really going to see. They don't really know what you can do until you prove it.
Yep. And if anybody wants to join live with Carl and I and be a part of this and come on camera with us, and again, this is all about sharing information and talking, and especially if someone's a hairstylist watching this or a barber, you want to know. Right now, we're very lucky to have even Carl here because he's so knowledgeable when it comes to photography and working with models, working on sets, fashion events, things like that. Carl, what are some important things? Let's just say that somebody brings you on for a photo shoot and they've never done this before. Now I already know like what the outcomes that could happen or the potential things that could happen that are like, oh my gosh. But is there a checklist that before you even show up, right? Say someone's bringing you on for an hour, or someone's bringing you on for a couple hours, or doing, I got 4 models. What are some checklist things that they need to do and have set before you even walk through the door?
Well, first of all, the thing I want to know is the venue, where we're going to be shooting. One of the biggest things, lighting is everything. And the very first time I had my portfolio reviewed in New York, and just as a side like that, boy, did I get hammered. That was like 30 years ago. I got absolutely destroyed. But it was probably the best thing that could ever happen to me because it just blew my ego away and got me to start all over again from scratch. But I remember before the reviewer even opened my book, the first thing he said, I remember those 3 words: light is everything. So that's the first thing I talk about, because everything else is dead if the lighting isn't right. You can't fix that in post. You can't invent lighting that didn't exist. AI might change that to some extent, but you don't want to get to the point of relying on AI. You want to be able to get to the point where you can rely on yourself. That's the very, very first thing. The second thing I look at, okay. In that situation, like you asked, you bring a couple models on board. Say, okay, guys, I know you have this idea of what you just saw in Vogue magazine last month, but you realize these are agency girls. They had professional hairstyling, professional makeup. If you're not ready to go that route, just, I try to temper their expectations a little bit, because I don't want them to think that that's what they're going to get when they're not putting that kind of effort and time into it. So these are all the things that are considered. Other things like, we're going to do it in a park. Okay, what park? Oh, we're going to be in whatever park in, say, New Brunswick. I said, okay, that's a city park. Have you thought about permits? These are all things. Because I've been in situations where the client didn't get a permit. We got chased. And the problem is the client doesn't get yelled at. I'm the one that gets yelled at. And if a ticket gets written to anybody, the ticket gets written to me. So that's self-protection. There's just there's just such a laundry list of things that, it's actually a long checklist of things that I go through that, before a shoot to make it happen.
When you heard him talk about permits and all that, I would like that even didn't cross my mind.
Welcome to New Jersey. Welcome to New Jersey. That's, almost any park permits are required. In fact, in New York, you can get a lot of trouble. If you Central Park, technically you need a permit, but they really don't bother you. But some of the smaller little parks, if you don't have anything through the Parks Commission, you'll get stopped.
Well, let's just say, okay, let's just go less extreme, and let's just say that Mary is bringing you into her salon. right? She's got a salon, a bit more of a controlled environment. What does Mary need to have done? Like if somebody's watching this and they're, say they're a salon owner, they're a barber, and they're like, oh man, I want to do a photo shoot. I got like a couple of models, and this is photos specifically. Thank you, Azan. Azan just said, I appreciate that, Azan. And what are some things that person needs to do, say, in a controlled environment? Let's just say, not talking about, make sure, because there's like event type of stuff, like logistical housekeeping things. Okay, what are we doing for lunch? What are we doing for, all that kind of stuff? Yes. But from like the perspective of they want to bring on a photographer and they want their models to look best, should they be like, are you going to bring everything? You're going to bring your lighting? What about backdrops? What about like, should they have their stations all cleaned? Like, what's going to be best for you?
Well, stations all clean. That's something I can't handle. That's something that they've got to do. They got to make sure their stations look clean. Even to the point of like, say, if they've got a half-used bottle of something in the background, and as you squirt stuff out of it, it starts to leak a little bit. It gets all crusty.
No Coke cans, no Pepsi cans on the counter.
Absolutely, get all that out. As far as lighting, I bring that myself. I'm a self-contained operation. I don't assume that there's going to be any lighting on board that I can work with. So I bring my own stuff. If we get there and we find out, wow, you got a beautiful daylight salon, it's beautiful daylight streaming in, and ooh, that might look even nicer. Okay, that's a decision we can make on the spot. But I don't rely on that. I bring, I bring all the lighting I need. If I think we're going to need backdrops, I have portable backdrops I can bring. My entire set is so portable, it's unbelievable. People don't realize. Let's see some of the pictures I did, and you think they did them in a studio. No, this was done in the corner of a warehouse. I've done shots with people literally in the hallway between their kitchen and their living room. Yes, I'm not lying. I even did a photo shoot in a walk-in closet once. So it's like, yeah, that actually did work. And the girl, she was tall too. She was like about 6'1", barefoot. And
wow.
So squeezing her in there and then squeezing me in there, but it was kind of cool what we were trying to do. But so like lighting things and background stuff like that, that's something I'll take care of. I'll talk about it with a salon owner first of all, because they might say, yeah, my salon doesn't really look all that nice. I don't know. Okay, I'll bring a portable backdrop with me just in case. But if they really want to use that salon setting, then it's like, yeah, just make sure that your stations are clean. Make sure there's no little fingerprints on the mirror, stuff like that, because that's the kind of stuff that just shows up. And it's little things. They don't sound like much, but when they show up in the image, it just screams amateur hour. It just really lunges out at you. So you get me as a photographer. It's incumbent on me to be on top of preventing it from happening. I may not be the one that actually fixes it, but it's up to me to address it before it becomes a problem. I mean, these are all those little things that just experience tells you over time. I remember seeing a photographer, and the model he had was gorgeous. She was beautiful. And he did this shot of her in a bathtub, and
Whoa.
it was a little, there was a little bit of nudity involved, but I mean, no problem with that. I mean, he had everything set up except for one thing. She had all the soap bubbles and everything, but once she got the soap bubbles in her hand, every time she touched the mirrors, she would get these nasty handprints. It's like, dude, was that intentional? Oh no, but I don't think it's a problem. Oh, no, it is a problem. It kind of really, really stands out. Yeah, I know she's got 38 triple Ds or whatever, but you know what? The handprints really stick out. It's this. I mean, that's fine for like for a low level pulp magazine, but you think Playboy would accept something like that? Of course not. And I always looked at when I do things. It's like years ago when I was shooting a swimsuit calendar. Remember when I used to do the swimsuit calendars every summer? It was like everyone would think, well, who's your competition? My competition is Sports Illustrated. I mean, but that's the bar. That's the bar I aspire to. If I can shoot even close to that bar, then I'm going to be very, very successful. And that's the thing. So you got to think like of that bar. And that's the way I shoot. So even if that stylist wants just something routine, I'm thinking, something along the level of a Naha submission, because who knows, they might want to use it for something like that. And it would start to go, oh, it's not going to be good enough. I got to go back and reshoot it. What if you don't have to go back and reshoot it? What if you already have something that you paid for a year ago or whatever, 6 months ago, that actually already works? So that's the way I look at things. I set the highest bar I can set, and that's what I shoot to, because anything less than that, it's just not the way to do things.
How do you think hiring like someone like yourself or a photographer to do content or create images, can that actually help them get new clients, do you think?
I think if you hire somebody who knows the industry and knows their market, I mean, it's like, there are probably definitely some things that, even I as a professional, if I don't really know that market and that industry, I may not be able to do it any better than you can. And then when I might say you, I don't mean you specifically, but I mean just that random hairstylist that contacts me. I mean, if they're looking for something that's just way, or worse yet, let's say and I deal with this all the time. So I'll get my next door neighbor. He takes lots of good pictures. He takes pictures of everything. I say, yeah, but does he take pictures of hair? And people will look at me like, well, what do you mean? I said, does he know how to photograph hair? There's like little things, Stephen, I've listened to you tell me over the years, and like all the different hair and beauty shows I've been to where I've talked to some like, the real other big names in the industry, just listen to little tidbits of things from them. And so I understand some things that somebody else who just has a camera and takes good pictures isn't going to understand, and they're not going to be able to deliver that. I mean, it's like, and one of the hairdresser I really I love Christopher Benson. That guy's phenomenal. His stuff is just, I mean, it's just off the charts phenomenal. I don't know if he's still with Matrix, but I mean, when we think of Matrix, we think of that red, Matrix red. That's everybody in the industry knows that. So if I was doing something for him, I better make sure that hair color doesn't just look red; it looks Matrix red. Where somebody who's not an insider of the industry isn't going to know that. They're just going to look and say, "Oh yeah, this looks good." He's going to be extremely disappointed, and then he's probably going to say, well, "Don't you understand how important it was to get this to look Matrix red?" Or and that's, I think, so sometimes not hiring somebody's hiring somebody who doesn't know the industry or the market doesn't always help. Even though he's a pro, and even though he shows up with $15,000-$20,000 worth of equipment and knows from a technical standpoint how to use it. From an artistic standpoint and from an industry standpoint, he doesn't really know what to deliver. I don't know if there's that much benefit in that, to be honest with you.
But how about from a pure like marketing perspective? Like, okay, so say that you get brought in and you take 15 amazing images, and the owner, the hairstylist, the barber, whoever it is, they want those images. How could they use those images themselves to get new clients? I mean, obviously post them on social media, but do you think a good image, like a good model shot of their work, is going to help them get new customers?
There's no real formula where I can absolutely say absolutely yes, but I will tell you this. And from my standpoint, when I'm just cruising through, Instagram pages or pages on Facebook, when I look at that profile pic and I see something really, really cool, that attracts my attention. Now, does that mean I'm actually going to do business with them? Maybe, maybe not. But you got my attention, and in order for someone to do business with you, you got to get their attention first. If that initial thing isn't grabbing people, and the thing is, there's no way you can quantify the business that you never had any chance of getting because they never contacted you in the first place. So you'll never know how many people just scrolled past. There's no way to put that to a number, but that's what people will do. So that's why that image is so important. I mean, it may not get you per se a lot of work, but a bad, just bad presentation is going to hurt you, and you're never going to know it because they never contacted you in the first place. And the reason why they didn't contact you in the first place is because that first impression of you, that image, that profile picture, whatever it is, just didn't light them up.
And what do you think, from what your experience, people who are using their cell phones for their own promotions, taking pictures of their haircuts and all that stuff, do you see like a pattern of people doing things wrong all the time from a technical perspective of like, oh boy, here we go, another iPhone shot that's like, if they only would have done this, it would make it so much better? Do you see a lot of that happening?
I see a lot of it happening. I mean, quite frankly, where I see it happening is not really so much the fact that they use an iPhone. They decide to get cute and use filters.
And that's filters. Filters, you mean?
Yeah, like some of these little software filters you can use when you're editing apps. Like one of the things they try to do is they think it's so cool to add that blurred background effect. So they try to. It looks horrible. It looks horrible. I mean, that is clearly not optical defocus. And I've seen situations where like your face will be perfectly in focus, but your hand will be out of focus, but something behind you will be sharp because it's using an algorithm to try to figure out depth, and it just doesn't get it right. And it's just one of those things that as soon as I see that, it's amateur hour. And, and it's like, okay, does that turn off John Q. Public completely? No, but like now let's say you're trying to attract the attention of, a higher, breed of customer who has a more discriminating taste and can notice things like that. And they see that and it doesn't work. You would have been just better off just take the picture of their iPhone and forget your funky little filters. So it's really not so much the iPhone in and of itself. Like I said, iPhones, with a little bit of thought, you can actually, I hate to say, do some pretty cool stuff with them. But it's when they try to get cute, especially on stuff that, they're just just forget the fillers.
Yeah.
Really.
And while we're live here, the fact that if you are just joining or watching, this is a perfect time to join us live. This is my new show called Walk-ins Welcome, where people are welcome just to walk in. I'll bring you up here on camera. We can talk about industry stuff. Now is the time, if you're watching this and you are a barber, you are a hairstylist, you want to start taking better pictures of your work, you want to learn more about it, this is something where you need to join us, because Carl is someone who has literally photographed some of the most prestigious fashion events and beauty events that you can get. And, and I'll talk about that in 1 second, because there's something that always comes to mind that I always go to. But now the way this works is you click on the link and you can be brought up backstage, and I'll bring you on and you can join us live. Between Carl and I can have multiple people on here live. I want to get engagement with people. I want to hear your opinions, whether it's about hair, whether it's about photography, whatever it is. You're all welcome to kind of join and be a part of this. So let's go back in time to the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
That was a fun day. That was a fun day. There were some pretty girls there, I remember.
I didn't think so, but anyway.
Well, you're used to hanging around with a higher class of women than I am. So,
but first of all, it was in an armory, yes, and as an officer yourself, like, first of all, what was that like, walking into an armory? Do you remember?
That didn't faze me. I mean, I'm so long removed from that. As long as I didn't see guys in uniform and I didn't have to salute or anything like that, or they didn't have to salute me, I was good.
But all I remember was we were assigned a PR guy. There was people. This was in New York City, and there were people who I overheard flew in from Australia, from all over the world to do what we did. And I was like, wait. You came from Australia just to film this? I guess I didn't realize how big it was to even land that, but like,
that was a tough gig to land in those days. I don't know what it's like now, but that was a really tough gig to get into. I mean, let's put it this way. I knew guys that were way bigger than me that couldn't get in. It wasn't easy to get into. So yeah. And sometimes that exclusivity, just that alone makes it, an attraction for people, because think about it. If this is an event that, say 100,000 people want to apply for a press credential, but they're only going to accept 100. If you're one of those 100, think how cool that could be to post that on Instagram. And that's what a lot of people do. They're not there really so much because of Victoria's Secrets. They're there just so they can say they were there, because that makes them look big in the eyes of their internet audience, or their social media audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Mr. Stark, I see you posted. You've had long hair for 3 years and you've taken care of it. It's in good condition. Mr. Stark, if you want to join, please join us live. You can click the link and you can come live on camera with us here and be a part of this conversation, because I really want to get another person on here just to see how it looks on the screen. So yeah, I forget how I landed that, but I landed it and I said, I need my A team, right? I need people. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. And so we were assigned a PR guy, and each outlet had their own PR person who was escorting them. Mm-hmm. And then the way he said it to me, I don't know if you remember this or not, but he goes, I think we literally had 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Yep. That's standard. That's with everybody.
Oh, it's standard.
Yeah, that's standard. I mean, it's like, because they were running, because they did credential a lot of people, but what they didn't want, first of all, is they didn't want like 10,000 people there at one time. So so what they had to do was break it out into groups. And there were so many people, so many media outlets, that they couldn't give huge time. I would imagine maybe like the bigger, like if like you were really, really big, like say you were Getty Images or something like that.
E or something.
Yeah, you might have gotten a little bit more, but yeah, routinely it was 15 minutes. And so you just basically had to accomplish whatever you could accomplish in 15 minutes. It's like, and I've always said I'm a master of the 15-minute photo shoot anyway. So it's like, yeah, that's fine. Take 15 minutes. Gee, that's mighty generous of you. And that's all I need.
And so I remember the person, he was like, looked like a 19-year-old kid. And at first,
most of those interns are young. Some of them are right out of FIT, some are right out of college they went to. A lot of those interns are, they're young.
And I remember him saying, like, I think at first it was like, okay, let's go, because I had my video guy named Frank. He was with us, and I think I said to you, look, you just go, you do your thing, you just go nuts. Mm-hmm. And so I let you go on your own, and I was like, you're gone, you're doing your thing, because I was so focused on getting interviews. like video interviews. So I had to work my magic. So the PR guy was actually walking with us, but he was so out of it that I was like, wait, we need to get this model and that model. So he'd have to walk up. You didn't see this because you were detached from us at that point. You didn't see what was going on my end. So what happened was we had to follow him because he had to approach the model and say, oh, we have so-and-so and he wants to do an interview and you're ready. He had to get them prepped and ready for like 10 seconds. And then I'd come in with the mic and interview the model. and you know, we got a handful. There were some that were like Harley, like all those big ones. And there was a couple that we couldn't just get to because they were like in the middle of doing things and I couldn't. But the ones that I got, it was cool to get that experience. And at some point I was like, dude, we're taking over. Cause this kid, again, you didn't see this, but this PR kid, he couldn't keep up with. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? We have 15 minutes to get this. Like, let's go. So Frank and I just started like walking around and like taking control and taking charge. And then it was our time and we had to group back around and we had security, I think. And then, okay, we're done. All I remember was my part of it from Frank and I. We were just like, oh my gosh, what the hell just happened? And we got a whole bunch of interviews. And they said I think there was something where they were like, you can't post anything until a certain time of day. I forget what it was.
It had to be after, I think it was after, you couldn't post anything until after the show.
So I'll never forget. I went back. I said to Frank, I said, all right, Frank, you go back and now you work your editing magic. So he took all that footage and right to work. He brought it right to the editor. And they got right to work. And on the back end, on my end, there were a couple of issues that they did wrong. They messed up a couple of things that they had to go back and re-edit. But so what happened was when that show went live, we had all these backstage interviews. And I remember, especially on Twitter, because Twitter was still really big back then as far as it was just Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I was posting and tagging all of the Victoria's Secret models. That got so much attention and so much circulation because as soon as we were allowed at that minute, blasting, I had the videos, I had the interviews, I had everything all ready to go. Mm-hmm. Now, from your perspective, from a photographer, I'm just going to say that those images that you took, probably in my opinion, after seeing a lot of your photos, that was probably your best, sharpest, most gorgeous. I mean, that was magazine level, like the best shots I've ever seen from you out of camera that I just couldn't believe. So my question to you is, tell me your experience about that show. Like before we get into the photos and all that, like once you were detached from me, what happened?
I just do my job. I mean, that's just, you know, I by that time I already had, you know, several years of experience working in Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, including shooting backstage, you know, with A-list designers. And you just learn very, very quickly that you just have to get a job. You just have to go. I mean, you don't think about it. You just, you know, it's almost like, you know, there's a great scene in Top Gun where Maverick is, you know, where he's being lectured about, you need to put more thought into it. And Maverick's response was, you think you're dead. You know, because in the world of air combat, yeah, that fraction of a second. But it's the same way here. I only had 15 minutes. I didn't have time to think. I had to just rely on what I know how to do and how to do it. I just had to trust in my level of ability and just did it. I mean, and it's like, I just did. I didn't do anything special other than just do what I ordinarily do. And
what about like, okay, so you didn't have I don't recall if you had a flash with you or not.
I did, but I had a big diffuser with it. It's one of the few diffusers that's ever worked on an on-camera flash. I had everything bracketed and it just balanced, you know, just drag that shutter a little bit just to bring in some of the ambient light. And it was just the stuff I do all the time. But again, it's just because I knew how to do this, and it's just part of my regular fare. I just knew that I only got 15 minutes, so I don't got time to play games. I don't got time to get cute. Just got to do what I know and just get it done and make it work.
I think I recall you saying that the lighting in there was actually pretty good.
It was. It was actually very, very good to work with. I mean, obviously the color balance between the flash and the ambient light was different, so I had to be careful about shutter drag. but it was enough. It wasn't so bad that I couldn't just pull a little bit of that background in, so it didn't have that nasty on-camera flash look, which sometimes you can't avoid. But in that case, I absolutely could. But again, that's years of experience knowing I can just size up a situation, and say, yep, this is a time I can make it work, and I can make it work pretty easily. But if I make the decision to do it or not do it, it's not something I agonize over. I make that decision right then and there. It's a split decision, and I never second guess it, because that wastes time.
Now, I mentioned before, and if you're joining, thank you for joining. This is the Walk-Ins Welcome podcast. You're welcome to join. Click the link. You can see the link that's right here. It's pinned. You can go in the comments and see if you want to join live with us and be on camera and talk with us. You're more than welcome. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about when it comes to beauty or hair or fashion, photography, whatever. And so we're talking about the Victoria's Secret fashion show right now from a couple years ago that happened in New York City. And, we got backstage access to film, and Carl was the photographer. I was the on-camera guy as far as the host. And then I had a video guy named Frank with me. And we did an amazing job with those videos. The editing on my side, they really knocked it out of the park, because this is as big as it gets as far as, yes, I've done Mercedes-Benz also, but I've done the Oscars and all sorts of, but Mercedes-Benz, Victoria's Secret fashion show it's a really tough one to get into. So any sort of publicity, anytime you can attend, and I learned this early on, you need to, this is what helped catapult me as far as my brand. And I went from being around, interviewing Tom, the salon owner, to interviewing people on reality TV shows, to interviewing celebrities, to attaching people to me that were way bigger than me. And that helped elevate me, whether it's celebrities, whether it's events, whether it's this. That's why I started doing the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. I got access to all these things. And I kept a close group of people who I brought in on with me on that, because they weren't easy to get. So I felt like, I want to help people who I can rely on, and I want to give them the access to this because they've earned it and deserved it. And that's why I would bring in people and have little teams and, this and that. And so, I just remember that it was such a crazy day for just 15 minutes of time that seemed like it was like an eternity in there. And when I first saw your photographs, Carl, I was like, these are probably some of the most, especially with, I think it was Lindsay Ellington when she was holding the
yeah.
That photograph, it was unbelievable, Carl. I don't know. And I think a lot of what I asked you, I said, did you do a lot of work on these photos? And I think a lot of them were almost straight out of the camera.
Yeah, stuff like that I do straight out of the camera, because that's more like photojournalistic. So to me, doing a lot of editing and retouching and stuff like that is dishonest. So it's like, I won't do that. Now, if that was actually like a ad campaign photo shoot, when I was hired, say, by Victoria's Secret, and we're going to use these in posters, we got to do a little beauty retouching. We got to do all this stuff to make, but this is photojournalism. So it's boom. You got to produce it as you see it. And it's just simply a matter of knowing what you're doing. And I was using a flash, but I added diffused, and that big diffuser that I used is the only diffuser I've ever used on a camera speed light that's ever actually done its job. You can't get them anymore. It's called a Grasslom dome. They don't make them anymore. But that's the most phenomenal diffuser I ever saw. It produces the softest light, and it makes it less likely that I'm gonna have to do at least a lot of basic retouching, because that just wasn't going to work. That's just for that type of thing. You don't do that.
Have those now? I know I've used those as a reference when it comes to you, and promoted you about that. And it's been years since we've done that. Yeah. But have you ever refer to those photos as, check out my work?
Yeah, I do. Because it's a few years ago, so it's like it's not my most recent work, but yeah, I'll use them, especially if someone say, "Hey, well, have you shot anything big?" And it's like, yeah, I have.
Yeah,
I have had situations recently where some guys, it's like, in fact, this is a funny story. This goes back quite a few years ago. I was doing just a local fashion show, just shooting it for a friend, and there was this one guy. He was like, I guess he decided to act like he was Mr. Big and trying to show everybody, well, this is the way I do it. This is how I do it. And it's like he's trying to like he's trying to take me under his wing. And he says, well, I've shot my daughter's fashion show, when she was in high school, and I did so good of a job. They've asked me to come back every day. So this actually did happen, and they've asked me to come back every year since. What's your experience? I said, well, I've just been doing Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week in New York City for the last about 15 seasons. I was, oh yeah, well that's good too. he kind of walks away because he knows it's like, yeah, don't pull that with me. But I've had people say they ask, and they ask me legitimately, and I understand that because they don't maybe know who I am. They'll say, well, have you done anything big like that before? And I said, yeah, I've done Mercedes-Benz New York Fashion Week. I've shot Miami Swim Week. I've done London Fashion Week. I even was backstage at Victoria's Secrets. And then plus, International Beauty Show in New York, Las Vegas. I've done this stuff all over the country for almost 20 years. So, yeah. And that definitely helps. It's because it's a credibility thing. People say, wow, if you shoot that stuff, then I guess you know what you're doing. Now I've learned from experience that not everybody shoots those shows knows what they're doing. But hey, you know what? If it gets me a little more foot in the door, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing, man. The things that we've done together and the events, and it's been
those were the days, man. I miss them.
I know that, but I think when it comes to hair, shooting like fashion, do you think that shooting fashion and hair is very different?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Very, very different.
How is it different?
Fashion, well, everything is about details, but hair is even more so. It's like little things like and you said this, and I remember a couple of times working with Salon Centric, talking to some of their people. It's like, oh, we want to get more hands in the hair. It's like they want to see the cutting. They don't want to just see like zoomed all the way back, because especially like a fashion shooter, if you've got a model on a stage now, they'll put a big apron on her anyway as a cutting so it doesn't get on her clothes. But as long as she doesn't have that apron on, a fashion shooter is going to zoom back because he wants to pull in the entire outfit, and that's great. But that's not the hairdresser. That's not what that platform artist wants. They want that nice close in, the hands and the hair, the little piece of hair flying off the scissors. That's
the hairspray. Remember I told you about the hairspray?
Oh, yeah. Hairspray. And if you can, I got some great shots where I caught the hair with light coming through it, and boy, it just looks really cool, especially if it's like a colored light. It looks really, but those are the things, those are the little details. Now, fashion's all about details too, but it's different details. So you shoot differently. You got to look for different things. I mean, it's like when I'm shooting a model walking down the runway, one of the important things, you never want to see the bottom of the model's foot. You never, ever want to see that. That's not something I'm worried about when I'm shooting hair, but when I'm shooting a runway show, that's crucial. And I tell guys this all the time when guys are just coming up. So listen, I know you think that's a great shot, and I know your fans on the Instagram think it's a great shot, but I'm going to tell you something right now. As an editor, I would not accept it. Oh, why? It's because you can't ever see the bottom of the model's foot. It's just, you got to time it so that her foot is striking the ground just as you're clicking that shutter. A lot of guys would be sitting on cameras, you're shooting 6 frames per second, 8 frames per second. No, I'm doing things single frame. My timing was that good. But I mean, it's just like, so they're different, but they're the same. It's all about attention to detail. You just have to learn which details are important when shooting hair, as opposed to which ones are more important when shooting fashion. It's really boils down to.
Really, really interesting stuff, man. All right, well, listen, I'm going to probably end this show right now because I've been here for about almost an hour and a half, and I have a lot more things to do. But this is the first, and Carl, I want to have you on again a bit more officially and not so random, and try to have more guests on as once. But this was kind of like a trial test run for this whole thing. And firstly, aside from my hair looking good, how do I sound and look?
Oh, well, Steve, as always, you sound and look fabulous.
But the audio quality, it sounds good.
Yeah, I have my earbuds in, which tends to make it better. But no, it sounds good. I mean, there's no issue here.
And the quality looks good as far as the camera and all that.
Quality looks good. The light's a little hot on your forehead, but other than that, it's it looks good. Okay. Yeah, especially if you lean back, it gets a little hotter. But it gets a little hot on your forehead sometimes. So you might want to just tone it.
I have an overhead light. I have a hair light on me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to say. Well, I'm not going to ask why you have a hair light on. I'm the one that needs it, not you. In fact,
I have a huge hair light right over me, and I don't know. I got to put that thing. It's on 100%. I got to put it down to like 0.
Yeah, you want to tone it down a little bit because it's.
Here, watch this. Watch this. I'm going to bring it down to. It's at 80% right now. Watch this. I'm going to bring it down to. Actually, watch up. I'll turn it off.
It looks a little bit better. It's just not.
With it off, huh?
Yeah, I think it does. It's just your forehead here doesn't look as hot.
Okay.
But I mean, it wasn't like a big problem. I wouldn't say, "Oh my god, if you don't fix this, and your thing's going to stink."
Yeah, I don't want. I just don't want to. I don't want where it looks like I'm underexposed. I'm not underexposed, right?
No. Like I said, that hot spot's gone. Now,
I was trying to look.
I'm probably the only one who would notice that because being a photographer, videographer, those are the things. Again, that's my eyes trained to look for that kind of stuff. Whereas a lot of other people, they're not going to see that. They're not going to care. I mean,
I mean, I could see it on the monitor. On the screen, I can see. I'm like, okay, but I knew I have a huge hair light over me. I also have a grid on it too, so that kind of helps. But I just wanted to brighten it up a little bit,
Yeah, but I mean, it looked good no matter what. I mean, it looked good, and the audio's, from my perspective, sounds pretty good. And
Nice.
I am picky about audio. That's one thing I am picky about. And
well, I got the mic right here. I have a switcher. I got two camera angles. I got the whole thing,
the only thing to watch with your camera angles is as you switch from one to the other, I see the color temperature changing. This one's reddish. This one's more natural.
Oh, I'm a bit red on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta change. Yeah, I look like a lobster right now. What the hell?
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah. Well,
I've been told I look like Jar Jar Binks, but I just think people are kidding.
Jeez. When you getting the haircut, man?
As soon as possible. This is it's just physically not comfortable. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's just.
You have a guy you go to or place you always go to, or?
Yeah, there's a guy I try to go to. I mean, because I've been going to him a bunch over the last couple of years, and he's a good guy. He knows what I like, and he's an interesting guy to talk to. So it's like we can chat. And it's probably going to take a while to do something about this. But I'd rather go to somebody who's interesting to talk to as opposed to somebody who just stands there like a statue, just click, click, click.
Right.
And
right.
that look. So, what are you going to do?
Well, Carl, man, thanks for being on here. And again, I'm going to do another one where I'll official invite and promote it more. But this was fun. I'm glad I got to do this. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, anytime you want me to do that, let me know, because this stuff is fun. I like it's funny, when you ask me questions and I talk about it, I start realizing, hey, I know more than even I give myself credit for knowing. It's just like I just go off with somebody asking some of these questions, and I could have taken a lot more time if I really wanted to with all but sometimes you don't always know what you know, and I find I learn from doing that. So it's like I appreciate the opportunity to do that. So anytime you want to bring it back on, let me know.
All right, Carl. Good to see you as always, man. And we'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon, man.
Take care now. Take care. Take care. Bye. And thank you, everyone who has joined me today. Again, this was a off the wall kind of random, no announcement type of thing. I just wanted to just make sure. But this is called Walk-Ins Welcome Podcast, and I'm going to be doing this on a regular basis. And basically, this is something where I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Having Carl on was great, and I really appreciate everyone watching. So leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube. Like the video, share it, and let me know if you want to be a part of this. If you're a hairstylist, a barber, you want to be on the show, all that stuff, just send me a DM on Instagram or leave a message on Facebook, all right? Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.